I get asked a lot of times, like, how did you build your discipline? How do you stay so disciplined? And I was trying to think about it, and I kind of realized that it came to me naturally. I didn't really think about building discipline per se, but it was something that grew out of the fact that I just respected myself and loved myself, and realized that for me to not fall prey to the modern environment, I had to be disciplined. I start to see the negative effects of what the modern environment was doing, and I didn't like it. I didn't like seeing people get fat, or like seeing people overconsume things, or just something felt wrong. And I felt that the only way for me to achieve my dreams and achieve my goals was for me to moderate myself. And through that process of learning how to moderate myself, I grew this intense sense of discipline. And it's not just about falling prey to the modern environment, but to achieve anything great, you need discipline. Like the greatest athletes and the greatest artists, they didn't get there because they just were talented. They got there because they have talent and they have the discipline to cultivate their skill in a way that makes them the elite people and the greatest people in the world. And in this video, I'm going to make an attempt to explain how I think about discipline and ways that I sort of cultivate my own discipline. And this is not an overnight thing. It's something that I've built over many years, and something that took me, probably over a decade to build. And discipline doesn't have to be hard either. I want you to stop thinking about discipline for the sake of discipline and think about it as like self-love. If you do love yourself, of course you should be disciplined. Who else is going to do the stuff that you need to do to achieve your dreams and your aspirations, right? Well, it's not the perfect setting. I'm recording on my phone, and I actually lost my entire camera equipment on the way from America to Egypt because they lost my baggage. And then they found my baggage, and then they had to ship it to Cairo, but then some of the stuff was broken. But that's okay, because if we're talking about discipline, I have to be disciplined too, and I promised myself that I'm going to record this video today, so I'm going to do it no matter what the circumstances are. So when it comes to discipline, I think there's two ways to think about it. One is, do you rely on motivation to be disciplined? The other way to think about it is, do you rely on habits to be motivated? If you're relying on one, well, guess what? It's a no-brainer that you're not disciplined. Because relying on motivation to be disciplined is the most silly thing to do, because motivation comes and goes. Whereas habits are something that you do day in and day out. So the people who are relying on motivation to be disciplined, of course they're not disciplined, because motivation is not going to be there every single day. There's days that I wake up and I'm totally unmotivated. I don't want to do the things I want to do. But guess what? I have the right habits in place so that I get up, I know exactly what needs to get done. So to be disciplined, it's not about whether you're motivated or how much motivation you have. It's really about whether you have the right habits in place. Because with the right habits, you can get all the things that you want to get done. All right, so now that we established that, you can't just rely on motivation for discipline, you really need to figure out how to set the right habits. The next question is, how do you actually set habits that stick? Because a lot of people try to set habits, but then they actually don't ever stick to them. And fundamentally, I think there's three really important things to think about before you set the habits. The first thing is, it's really important to start with the why. Why are you doing this thing, and why do you want to do this thing every single day? Is there a larger goal and a larger purpose for this thing that you want to do every day? Because without that larger goal, the everyday thing is going to become a struggle, because there's nothing to keep you going when things get tough and when there's no motivation to do that thing. So you really want to think about whether that clear purpose and that clear reason for why you're doing that thing actually exists, or whether you're just doing it because you think you want to do that thing. The second big thing is showing up every single day. And I'm sure you've heard this before, in the sense that you have to stick to your habits and you have to show up every day, but I can't reiterate how important this is. Because the minute you break your habit, the one single day that you break your habit, you completely destroy your progress. Because that one day becomes 2 days, and then it becomes 3 days, and then it becomes a week, a month, and then you basically have to start all over again. So to prevent yourself from having to start over again, over and over and over again, you want to show up every single day.
Hey guys, what's up? So I'm in India. I landed last night after a really long journey, probably a 30-hour journey, but that's okay. I just wanted to come on and say that, usually when I travel, I try not to break my habits. So, as many of you know, I've been practicing dance every day, and I don't want to just not practice for a week. So what I'm going to do is, I found this little mirror in my hotel, and I have like 3 feet of room here, so I'm just going to make the best out of it and practice in this little area. I'm not going to have as deep practices as I do when I'm home, because it's not the best, but I'm going to have at least 30 to 60 minutes a day to practice and keep going. I don't want to go off the trend that I was going on, where I get to practice every day and improve every day, because every single day matters. So I just want to share that, because I think what I notice sometimes is when people travel, everything goes out of whack. Their whole schedule, their habits, their goals, they kind of just let go. And I think it's super important to make the best out of any condition and keep staying on track on your goals, because you'll feel good. You don't have to go 100% when you're traveling, but at least do something so that you don't have to come back and feel regretful or dread it, or feel like you have to start all over again. You just want to keep going every single day, take tiny steps every single day, and then that momentum over time is honestly what matters. So for me, I don't think this week I'm gonna improve drastically, just because I can't necessarily deeply practice here, but at least I won't go downhill, and I'll maybe make some improvements at least, and that momentum will make me want to keep going when I go back home.
So let's say your goal is to exercise for an hour a day. Some days you'll be motivated to exercise, so you'll go in and you'll do it. But on the days you're not motivated, instead of not showing up, just show up for 60 seconds. Anyone can do anything for 60 seconds. It's really not that complicated. So just show up for 60 seconds so that consistency stays there. You don't have to do the whole thing every single day. For example, there's days that I really just don't want to practice because I'm sore, or I'm tired, or I didn't get enough sleep.
Hey guys, what's up? So it is Monday the 13th. I'm just about to get started on dance practice, and I had to be totally honest. I woke up really not motivated today. I didn't have that much energy, but motivation is for losers anyway. I'm not gonna sit here and wait for motivation. So I got myself up. Oh, and the other thing was, I woke up and my entire house smelled like chicken curry, because my mom decided to wake up at 4 a.m. and make chicken curry for the week. So I woke up to that and I was like, oh God, this is gross. I can't even escape the house because it's winter outside.
So what I do is I'll cut down my practice down to 30 minutes instead of the usual hour or 2 hours. And that keeps me going every single day without missing a beat, but it still accommodates for the fact that I wasn't truly feeling it that day.
All right, excited to get started on practice. I have a little bit more energy today, which is good. And some days you wake up with less, some days you wake up with more, but that's how life is. And you should never rely purely on motivation to do stuff, because motivation comes and goes. All you have to do is take action, and the motivation will come over time. So Yesterday I wasn't motivated, I took action, and then today I am motivated, I'm gonna take more action. That's just how life goes.
And the final thing that's super important when you're trying to create habits that stick is keep them small. I see people make this mistake all the time where they'll try to set all their goals all at once and set all their habits all at once, and they'll try to change their entire lifestyle at once, and this just completely breaks down for obvious reasons. Like you're gonna burn out, you're gonna get overwhelmed, or you're gonna just give up on everything. And even I do this, right? There's a time where I had this grand plan of all the things I want to do in a single week. I wanted to create a YouTube video a week. I wanted to send 10 tweets a day. I wanted to do Instagram stories every day. I wanted to do a blog post every week. I wanted to do all these things in 1 week and every week. But I realized that was a lot of things to do all at once. I really couldn't keep it up. And so what I did was I completely scrapped that plan and I started over. And I started to do one thing at a time instead. So over the last 4 to 5 weeks, I decided I'm going to just focus on creating one YouTube video a week. And so far, I've kept up the progress. And slowly but surely, this will become a habit. And once this becomes a habit, I'll layer on the next thing. And then once that becomes a habit, I'll layer on the next thing. And I'll keep doing this until all my habits are created. So really, really important to start small. And I see people struggle with this so much. And this is often why people catastrophically fail at their New Year's resolutions, because they set all these resolutions in the beginning of the year, but trying to keep up with all of them all at once is really daunting. No one can do that. You want to do them one at a time and slowly layer them in. The interesting thing with discipline is that it's like a muscle. It can actually be trained. So when I was a young girl, I actually had to lose a bunch of weight because I was super overweight and the doctors told me that I had to lose weight. So I had to really diet and exercise like never before. And through that process, I learned so much discipline because, as many of you might know, dieting and exercising is one of the hardest things to grow discipline around. And I kept that up for many years afterwards. But that discipline that I grew in diet and exercise helped me in so many other areas of my life, because if you're disciplined in one area of your life, it's more than likely that you're going to be disciplined in other areas of your life. And so there's a lot of ways I trained my discipline without even really knowing it. For example, for health benefits, I would always take the stairs even though there was always an elevator available. And I did this because I knew that taking the stairs is more healthy. So when you think about it, this is exactly what discipline is, right? Discipline is just doing something now to get the benefit later. So I would take the stairs every time there was an elevator, and this inherently helped me grow my discipline in some way. Another thing that I would do is I would walk home from the grocery store with all my groceries, even though I could Uber. And the reason I did this is because I thought it was more healthy to walk. But in hindsight, this really did help me grow my discipline because I was delaying my gratification of just taking the Uber now for the health benefits later. So you can do all these little things in your life where you can build your discipline muscle in other ways so that you can be disciplined in the areas of your life that you're really trying to be disciplined in. The other thing that you can really do to grow your discipline is grow your patience. Because like we said, discipline is nothing more than delayed gratification. You're doing something now for the benefit later. And so if you grow your patience, then you have the ability to understand that you're doing this now and you'll be patient for the end result in the long run. And little things that you can do to grow your patience are, for example, you can eat more slowly. When I was young, I used to just scarf down my food like crazy. But instead, I learned to take 20 minutes to eat every single meal. And this was really hard in the early days. But once I got used to it, it helped me grow my patience in a very significant way. Another thing I used to do was I used to eat all my favorite best parts of the meals at the end. So I would save the best parts till the end. And if you observe how most people eat, they'll eat the best parts first. They'll scarf down all the things they love first, and they'll save like the vegetables and all the bad things for last. Instead, I flipped it, where I would eat the vegetables and all the stuff that I didn't really want to eat first, and then I'll eat like the meat and the good stuff later. And this tested my patience and increased my patience, and it also inherently helped my discipline.
It is Thursday the 16th and I'm about to begin practice. One thing I was thinking about was, I was kind of dreading it this morning, just to be honest, because I'm tired. But one little trick I do when I'm dreading something is I typically like to make the first part of the practice the hard part, so you get it done with, and then save something to look forward to towards the end. So for me, the hard parts right now are my shimmies, because shimmies are hard and it takes a lot of practice to get shimmies to the speed that you want to get them. So what I do is I'll do the first part of the practice for shimmies, and then I will save something fun for the second half, like upper body, which I like practicing because it's fun, or belly rolls because that's fun too. What's up, folks? Okay, so I've been practicing for about an hour and a half. I have about 15 minutes left, which I'm super excited about. Now I get to do belly rolls, so a lot less effort from the hips, a lot more from the stomach, which I need a break from the hips, so excited to do this. All right, see you later. Alright guys, so I really hope you found the video helpful. Let me know in the comments what you agreed with, what you maybe didn't agree with, if there's anything you didn't agree with. I'd love to hear from you, and if you want to see more content like this, let me know in the comments as well, and hit subscribe because I do plan to make more content like this. Taking the stairs. Yeah, just a self-love and self-respect point of view, because if you and discipline doesn't have to be hard either, because so if you're really struggling with discipline in one area of your life,